the mighty Soviet Union couldn't compete with the model and the values and the economy of the American free superpower, then China was ultimately going to have to follow a similar path. And what was going on at the same time was the Chinese Communist Party was quietly, very, very carefully studying the mistakes that led to the collapse of the Soviet Union and trying to avoid that by allowing a certain amount of economic dynamism. But the remarkable thing about Xi Jinping is that when he came in, he commissioned a couple of documentary films that were made and that had to be viewed by the military and party members. And the conclusion that he drew was that the Soviet Union didn't collapse because it failed to liberalize, or that it didn't liberalize fast enough, but that it went too far with things like glasnost and perestroika. The sort of Gorbachev comes off as the villain in the narrative that Xi Jinping tells, including in his late 2012 early speech when he became leader, when he told the parable of the collapse of the Soviet Union. He cast Gorbachev as the villain. His view was, and he stated this in that address, was we cannot turn our backs on the legacy of Lenin and Stalin. That is what led to the historic nihilism that ultimately unraveled the great Soviet Communist Party and then the Soviet Union with it. So he's going back in time to try to forestall the collapse. And by the way, that suggests that there may be something to the idea that eventually, if China does continue liberalizing its economy, it may be forced into a more pluralistic system. But Xi Jinping is quite determined not to take that road.